Some buildings are designed to serve a purpose. Others become symbols. Symbols of cities, symbols of nations, and in some cases, symbols of entire eras. The moment you see them, you know exactly where they are. A silhouette against a skyline. A shape unlike anything else on Earth. A structure so distinctive that it becomes part of a country's identity. But behind every iconic landmark lies a story. A story of ambition, innovation, and ideas that once seemed impossible to build. From futuristic gardens and world-famous museums to record-breaking skyscrapers and engineering masterpieces, these structures have redefined what architecture can be. They don't just shape skylines, they shape how we see the world around us. Today, we're exploring 15 of the most extraordinary structures ever built. Structures that transformed skylines, redefined architecture, and inspired millions around the world. Let's begin. At number 15 is the National Museum of Qatar. Few buildings on Earth look anything like it. At first glance, it appears as though a giant crystal has emerged from the desert floor. Inspired by the desert rose, a natural mineral formation found in arid regions, the museum is made up of massive interlocking discs that seem to collide from every direction. The result is a structure unlike anything else in modern architecture. More than a museum, it has become a defining icon of Qatar's identity, connecting the country's history, culture, and future through a single extraordinary design. At number 14 is Apple Park. Few corporate headquarters have become tourist attractions. Apple Park is one of them. From above, the campus resembles a giant spacecraft resting in the middle of Silicon Valley. Designed as a perfect ring surrounded by thousands of trees, it reflects Apple's obsession with simplicity and precision. More than an office complex, it is a physical expression of one of the world's most influential technology companies. At number 13 is Harbin Opera House. In winter, the building almost disappears into the surrounding snow. Located in one of the coldest regions of China, Harbin Opera House was designed to blend into the landscape rather than dominate it. Its flowing curves echo the shapes of wind, ice, and water, creating a seamless connection between architecture and nature. The result feels less like a building and more like part of the environment itself. At number 12 is Louvre, Abu Dhabi. Imagine an entire city hidden beneath a floating dome. That is exactly what visitors experience at Louvre, Abu Dhabi. The museum's vast roof is formed by multiple layers of intricate geometric patterns that filter sunlight into thousands of moving beams. This breathtaking effect, known as the rain of light, creates an atmosphere unlike any other museum in the world. At number 11 is Taipei 101. Most skyscrapers are designed to stand tall. Taipei 101 was designed to survive. When it opened, it was the tallest building on Earth, but its real achievement lies in its ability to withstand earthquakes and powerful typhoons. Hidden inside the tower is a giant steel sphere weighing hundreds of tons. Acting as a massive damper, it helps stabilize the building during extreme conditions, turning one of nature's greatest threats into an engineering success story. At number 10 is the Heydar Aliyev Center. At first glance, it is difficult to find a single straight line. The entire structure appears to flow like a wave frozen in motion. Designed by the legendary architect Zaha Hadid, the building challenged traditional ideas about geometry and form. Its sweeping curves create a sense of movement rarely seen in public architecture, making it one of the defining examples of contemporary design. At number 9 is the Shard, a giant shard of glass rising above one of the world's oldest cities. That contrast is exactly what makes the Shard so remarkable. Reaching high above London's historic skyline, the tower reflects changing light, clouds, and weather throughout the day. For many years, nothing like it existed in the city. Since its completion, it has become one of Britain's most recognizable landmarks and a defining feature of modern London. At number 8 is Gardens by the Bay. When the project was first revealed, many people thought it belonged in a science fiction movie. Today, it is one of Singapore's most famous attractions. Towering super trees rise above the landscape, creating an environment unlike any traditional park. But these structures do far more than provide a dramatic visual experience. They collect rainwater, support ventilation systems, and contribute to the site's sustainability. It is a place where technology and nature work together in a way that feels almost futuristic. At number 7 is the CCTV Headquarters. Most skyscrapers carry their weight straight down. This one doesn't. Instead of rising vertically like a traditional tower, the building forms a giant loop in the sky. Two leaning towers are connected by a massive cantilever suspended high above the ground, creating one of the most unusual skyscraper designs ever built. When it was completed, the structure challenged long-standing ideas about high-rise architecture and quickly became one of the most recognizable landmarks in modern China. At number 6 are the Petronas Towers. For years, these twin towers were the tallest buildings on Earth. But height alone is not what made them iconic. Rising above the skyline of Kuala Lumpur, the towers are linked by a sky bridge that has become one of the most famous architectural features in the world. Their design draws inspiration from Islamic geometric patterns, blending cultural heritage with modern engineering. More than 2 decades after completion, the Petronas Towers remain one of the most recognizable icons of modern Malaysia. At number 5 is Beijing Daxing International Airport. From above, it looks less like an airport and more like a giant starfish spreading across the landscape. Designed to handle tens of millions of passengers every year, Daxing is one of the largest and most ambitious transportation hubs ever constructed. Its unique radial layout dramatically reduces walking distances while maintaining enormous capacity. The result is a building that proves infrastructure can be efficient, beautiful, and visually unforgettable all at the same time. At number 4 is Marina Bay Sands. 3 towers, one giant structure balancing across the top. It sounds impossible, yet somehow it exists. When Marina Bay Sands opened, it completely transformed Singapore's skyline. Suspended nearly 200 meters above the ground, the sky park stretches across all 3 towers and houses one of the most famous infinity pools in the world. What once seemed like an impossible idea is now one of the most photographed landmarks on Earth. At number 3 is Shanghai Tower. Standing 632 meters tall, Shanghai Tower is the tallest building in China and the second tallest in the world. But its greatest achievement may not be its height. Its twisting form was designed to reduce wind forces while creating a sense of motion and elegance. The tower functions almost like a vertical city, containing offices, hotels, observation decks, and retail spaces within a single structure. It represents a new generation of skyscrapers where sustainability, engineering, and architecture work together seamlessly. At number 2 is Burj Khalifa. For decades, engineers kept pushing buildings higher. Then Dubai changed the rules. Rising 828 meters into the sky, Burj Khalifa remains the tallest structure ever built by humanity. At that scale, engineers faced challenges involving wind, temperature, materials, and vertical transportation unlike anything attempted before. More than a skyscraper, it became a global landmark of human ambition and one of the defining engineering achievements of the modern era. And at number 1 is the Sydney Opera House. Some buildings become landmarks. This one became a symbol of an entire country. Standing on the edge of Sydney Harbor, its iconic white shells are recognized around the world. But when construction began in the late 1950s, no one fully knew how such a design could actually be built. The complex geometry of the roof pushed engineers into completely new territory. Costs soared, schedules slipped, and the project faced years of controversy and uncertainty. Yet, against all odds, the vision was realized. Today, the Sydney Opera House welcomes millions of visitors every year and remains one of the most celebrated buildings on Earth. More than 50 years after its completion, it continues to inspire architects, engineers, and designers across generations, securing its place as one of the most influential structures of the modern age. What makes this list so remarkable is that no 2 structures are truly alike. Some were built to celebrate culture, some were designed to connect people, and others were created to push the limits of what seemed possible. Yet, despite their differences, they all tell the same story, a story of imagination, the willingness to think bigger, to challenge convention, and to turn bold ideas into reality. From museums in the desert to futuristic gardens, soaring airports, and record-breaking towers, each of these structures reflects a different vision of the future. And perhaps that is what makes them so fascinating. Not their height, not their size, and not the records they hold, but the fact that each one started with a vision bold enough to challenge the limits of its time. In the years ahead, new landmarks will rise, new technologies will emerge, and new skylines will continue to evolve. But these structures will always remain important milestones in the story of architecture and engineering, because they remind us of something very simple. The world we live in today was once imagined by someone willing to think beyond what already existed. And sometimes those ideas change the world. Sometimes they change the skyline. And sometimes they become symbols that outlive generations. If you enjoyed this journey through some of the world's most extraordinary structures, don't forget to subscribe for more stories of architecture, engineering, and innovation.